to Tonic Studios USA. I hope you're having a good week. Happy Wednesday. So today we're going to be doing all about the difference between embellishment mousse and expanding mousse. Now when I was at Legacy Paper Arts a couple of weeks ago, I had lots of questions. They had some expanding mousse in and people kept saying to me, what's the difference between, yes, it's me this week, Greg, you get to laugh at me this week, the difference between expanding mousse and embellishment mousse. Is there a difference? What's the difference? So I thought it'd be a really good subject for a live because we can talk about it, you can ask questions, we can go through all of those fun things. But of course, let's start with some comments, she says, but she's lost all of her comments. There we go. So hi Michelle, I saw you joined us. Hi, Terry's with us too. Suzette, Karen from our design team is with us. Wendy's here too. So is Denise and Andre and Michelle. Greg is here, of course, too. Lots of you joining us already as well. So lots of you sharing too. So if you're new to the Tonic Live, welcome. We're here every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern, wherever that time may be in your part of the world. And if you share this video whilst we're live, at the end of the show, I will choose a winner to win a Tonic goodie bag. All you have to do is hit that share button. You can share it as many times as you'd like to your personal Facebook page, maybe your crafty Facebook page, crafty groups that you might be in. No, Greg, you cannot win before you ask, because you ask that question every single week. All you have to do is leave us a comment to let us know where you've shared it, and then at the end of the show, either Greg or I, not him, he will not pick himself as a winner, I was going to say, because he tried to do that last week.
I really want a good prize.
It was a good prize, but we will pick a winner to send out a Tonic Studios USA goodie bag too. We also always have an exclusive offer of the week too. It's a limited time offer just for live watchers. This week's offer is on the expanding mousse and the new Tonic Stencils. So we have 20% off the Tonic expanding mousse and off of the new stencils, which I'm going to be showing you tonight. There's also 3 older stencils that are on the website too. You can check that out as well. But I put the code, it's all embedded into a link already, so it's super easy to use. Just hit the link in the video description that's above my head. It might be to the side of me depending on the device you're on, but you can just hop on over straight away and you can use that. So it's valid off the expanding mousse and any stencils that are on the website too. Also, I'm going to be using the new silicone palette knives, which are amazing. I know the design team are watching. They will be with me that these things are absolutely fantastic. I'll be showing you these too. They are in the tool sale. They're also on offer, so you can save on those too. Lots of you also jumping in as well. So Jodie's here, Sandy's here, Kathleen's just joined us. Lots of you sharing. Robin's just joined us. Evelyn's just joined us. Sue's just joined us. Lots of you joining us. And lots of you calling you Dr. Greg as well. He'll love you. No one calls him Dr. Greg in the house, so he will love the fact you're calling him Dr. Greg. So
Tilly calls me Dr. Daddy.
Oh yeah, she does. Tilly calls him Dr. Dad. So for those of you who don't know about mousse, so we have 2 different types of mousse. We have the regular embellishment mousse and then we have the expanding mousse. They do look slightly different packaging. So the regular embellishment mousse comes with a white lid and the expanding mousse comes with a grey lid. So that's how you can kind of tell them straight away. And when I have them on my shelf, I have them lined up on the sides so I can see the white lid or I can see the grey lid nice and easily. Now there are 8 colours in the expanding mousse and there are many, many more in the embellishment mousse. So that's also a giveaway on my shelf because my embellishment mousse section is a lot bigger than my expanding mousse section. But you can also make your own custom colours of expanding mousse. I'm going to show you this evening how to do that. And I do have a video on the Hedgehog Hollow YouTube channel that you can watch anytime. And the card that I created in that video, I did go downstairs and grab. This is the card I created in that video. And this is the technique I'm going to show you this evening. But this was with the expanding mousse. So you can see that if can I get closer, Greg? There we go. So this is the card I created. This is expanding mousse. You can see it's kind of got bubbly texture and you can get even more texture out. I'm going to show you how to get even more texture. I went for a kind of subtle texture just because I wanted to create something just with a little bit of interest and colour. But really I wanted that fun thanks on the top. So that's why I did that. And so I'm going to show you some different ideas how to get different textures with expanding mousse because there's some tips and tricks to that, and then I'm going to show you the difference to the regular embellishment mousse. So let's start with embellishment mousse. I picked out this pink because I'm a pink girl, in case you hadn't noticed. Now this is what embellishment mousse looks like. It does have a beautiful shimmer in it. It comes in tons and tons of colours. Greg can kind of scroll along. These aren't all the colours. I actually had to replenish some of my colours post-creativation because I used some of them up. So there are more colours available, but you can see that you've got greys, you've got creams, you've got lilacs, pinks, oranges, yellows, greens, browns, blues, coppers. There is a black that I've run out of. There's another purple, like a bright, bright purple that I've run out of. I'm trying to think what else I ran out. I think there's a red that I ran out of that I used in a project too. So I do run out of them occasionally, but they last me a long, long time. We've also, for those of you who may have had these in the past, you may have said, well, the lids these used to dry up on me. We've actually changed the lids so that doesn't happen anymore, so they won't dry up on you anymore, so that we've solved that issue. I'm also trying to keep up with your comments too, because lots of you commenting here. Dee Dee says she's had a crazy snowstorm here today in Toronto as well. We hope you're okay, Dee Dee. Karen's just joined in from California too, so welcome. So the regular mousse always has a sheen to it, as does the expanding mousse, but we'll get to that. This is what it's going to look like when you open. Now, the first thing I'm going to say to you is never ever put your fingers in unless you really have to, because if you introduce bacteria into this, these are going to last you a long, long time. If you put your fingers in here, and trust me, I have been known to put my fingers in here, and if you don't use it up very quickly, you can introduce things and then you put the lid on and 6 months later you open it. You might have things in here you really didn't want to be in here. So I always try to use tools and things in here rather than sticking my fingers in. A really good tool to use with your embellishment mousse are the silicone blenders. These work brilliantly because what I can do is I can pick up some medium. I can pick it up really nicely, mess free, and I just kind of go around, load it up, and then I go straight onto my surface and off I go. And I can put this through a stencil, I can do all those kinds of fun things with it. So that's one way I can do it. The other option I have is I can take a palette knife, and these are my fun new friends, and I can just take a little bit here. I would pop it onto my glass mat just like this, and then I can do whatever I need to do with it. Maybe I want to paint with it. So what I would do is grab out a paintbrush out of my endless collection, and Greg will tell you I have a large collection of paintbrushes, and I spritz it with a little bit of water to activate it, and I can mix this into a paint, and then I can start painting. And now I've created my own metallic watercolors. So that's something else I can do with my Nuvo embellishment mousse. So now all of a sudden I have a metallic watercolor, and I could mix my own colours between the two really easily. I can also take a little bit on my palette knife, I can pop it inside my light mist bottle, and I can create my own metallic sprays. They will dissolve in water. I have done that. I should have grabbed that one, but what you can do is just dissolve them in here. I would take a little bit more than I watered down here, and then I would just pop it in here, give it a good shake up, and then I can create my own metallic mist, and I would just be able to spray it on. And I've created, obviously the more you put in, the stronger the colour is going to be, and then I would create my own metallic mist in the background. So that's something else you can do with your mousses. I could also, if I wanted to spritz my silicone, this is going to give me a softer effect, a more kind of pastel-y effect. So you can see the difference of, this was where I came kind of straight out of my, what's it called? Out of my pot here, and I put it straight on here. And then this is where I misted my blending sponge, and then I got a more pastel-y effect. So you can get different effects. I could also go straight in with a palette knife, and for this I prefer a metal palette knife. I'm also going to load your comments back up here. I don't know why they keep disappearing on my phone.
Dee Dee said, Alexandra, I love how your nails match the mousse.
Oh yeah, they do. I didn't think of that. It's obviously my colour.
Yes, you did. It was deliberate. It was pre-planned, obviously.
Yeah, okay. Greg knows that that's so not my kind of style. So for this technique, I like using a metal palette knife just because it's a little bit more sturdy. But what I would do is, first of all, I like to take my mousse and I work it a little bit on the side of my glass mat because I want it to be a little bit pliable. Maybe even, and I wouldn't put a whole spritz of water in, I would just make my palette knife lightly moist. You see how little water I kind of took in there. And then I could put this through a stencil, not through a stencil, however I wanted. And then I've created my own paste. So you can turn this into a paste. So there's about 6 different ways you can take the Nuvo regular embellishment mousse and you can use it. So I can use it directly on a sponge and I can sponge it. I can turn it into a metallic watercolor. I can turn it into a pastel medium. I can turn it into a paste and I can turn it into a spritz. So there's tons of ways that I can just use my regular mousse. However, I then have a secret weapon in my back pocket of expanding mousse, which I think is probably one of my most favorite mediums to work with. I pull this out all the time. I should also mention I'm working on watercolor cardstock. I'm working on the Craft Perfect watercolor cardstock because I like throwing water at these mediums, because often what I'll do is I'll put this down and then I'll grab my light mist bottle and I'll be like, oh, I just want to kind of spritz that. And oh, I want a bit more spritz there. And oh, I'm just going to take a paintbrush and oh, I'm kind of just going to pull that out a little bit. And I kind of, excuse me, I just like to add water, or I want to add some more to it. So when I'm doing anything like this, I'll always work on watercolor cardstock. And something I really like about this one is that texture, which you can see in the background here. It just has a little bit of a fun extra something in the background. So that's what I'm working on here. And it comes in A2 size sheets, so it's perfect for card makers. Thank you, Greg. So it comes in A2 size sheets, so it comes in pads pre-cut for us, which I really, really like. So I don't have to go to FedEx anymore and have it cut down. And if I want to do something bigger, I can get it in individual sheets, or I can get it in 8.5 by 11 sheets, so even better. But tonight I wanted to show you all about the expanding mousse, because I think expanding mousse is super, super cool, because with expanding mousse, I can do all of this, yes, but I can do some extra stuff too. And that's what I really love about it. So expanding mousse, you can do all of this stuff. It also has all of that shimmer in. It does come in a more limited palette, so trust me, I'm still going to use all of these colors and they all get an outing. As I say, I used all of them. I need some kitchen roll. Hang on, I need some kitchen roll. Someone said they wish this could be their craft room. I feel that much. Lots of you saying you love my craft room. So we are going to do a craft room tour. I'm trying to talk Greg into it. Greg's already like, no, I really don't want to.
It's really hard to film because I have to move everything, and the lighting and the sound, every position around the room.
So you have to move the table out the way. That's what he really doesn't want to do.
Oh, that too.
And there's a lot of work involved, but I think it's worth it. And then we get to show you all the fun things behind the scenes.
It'll cost you a bottle of whiskey.
I think we can manage a bottle of whiskey to show you. Lots of you watching. So yes, for those of you who have just joined us, if you share this video while we're live and let us know that you've shared it, at the end of the show, we always pick a winner to win a Tonic goodie bag. Lots of you saying you have some of these, but you haven't used them yet, so you're looking for ideas. Greg's saying, sorry for the focus hiccup, that was my bad. Hi Dee. Dee loving the matching my nails. Marcy's happy to catch us live. Vivian says she's scared to open them because she touched with her fingers. Don't worry about opening them if you've touched them. Open them, see what they're like. Do you know what I did the first time I opened one and it wasn't so good? Take your palette knife, cut out the worst bit. Just keep going. It was fine. And do you know what? I cut it out, closed it up. The next time I opened it, it was fine. You didn't hear that, Greg. It's up there somewhere. It's fine. You can watch. Oh yes, if you ever miss one of these Tonic Facebook Lives, A, they're always on the Tonic Facebook page, but B, I also always put them on YouTube, so they're easy to find too. So you can always find them on YouTube. And am I using some white cardstock? No, I'm using it on watercolor paper. Lots of you sharing as well. Lots and lots of shares. Hi Deb, you're just joining us as well. Robin says she has a full bar of Crown Royal to share if she can see the room. If you'll share.
Oh, okay then. I think we're going to do it. It's just, it takes a lot of work.
Yeah. So I'm just cleaning off my tools, and then I'm going to show you the expanding mousse, because I think the expanding mousse is really cool. And the one thing I love about expanding mousse is it's something totally different. I've never seen anyone else who's got anything like expanding mousse. And Greg likes expanding mousse too, so that means I get to use it a lot, because he likes seeing this technique. And I have to actually credit, I'm not sure who it was when we did the expanding mousse launch, where somebody on one of the lives said, oh, I wonder if you could do this. And it was a genius idea, and it worked, and I've used it ever since. So can't remember who it was, but if you're watching, thank you, yell, because this was an awesome idea and I've used it tons since. So expanding mousse, as I say, it comes in 8 colours. 8 colours, Greg.
What do you want? I was busy messaging people.
So we have green and we have gold. We have white and we have blue. We have red. We have gold, and there was copper at the bottom. We have yellow. We have silver, and then these are the embellishment ones at the top. Now these all have a shimmer to them. So if I open up the purple, for instance, you can see it has a really pretty shimmer and shine. So it has that same beautiful pearlized. You can use it as the watercolor paint. You can use it with your daubers, your silicone. You can use it as a paste. You can use it as a watercolor paint. But what you can do is use it for the expansion. However, the really cool tip I want to share with you is the white pearl, which I'm going to grab here. And this is my 3rd pot of white pearl that I'm on. And the other thing we can do is we're going to mix it with shimmer powder. I don't know what colour to use. I think I'm going to use the blue. I don't use the blue very often. So shimmer powders, these are watercolor burst pigments. They also have mica in, so they're going to add even more shimmer to your projects. They come in pink, in red, in yellow, 2 different types of green. There's a new purple and there's an older purple. There's a black, and I'm going to use the blue here. And we're going to create our own custom colours of expanding mousse. So this means that whilst we don't have the huge palette of colours yet, we can create our own custom colours using supplies that we already love. So I think this is awesome. And how am I going to do this? I'm going to use one of these new Tonic Stencils. So these are new. They released these at Creativation. I'm going to take them out of the packet because they're easier to see, she says. And I'm also going to show you one of the designs about the Tonic Stencils I like, once I can get the packaging open. So let's get these out. Do you want to open one, Greg? Thank you. We'll put him to work. As he doesn't want to film the room tour, he can open the packaging.
We'll film the room tour. It's
hard work.
It's a break from the system. That's what it is.
Yeah, see? The system. Okay. So we have 3 awesome new stencils. I love these designs. So these are the 3 new designs, which I adore. I can't remember which is which now. We have twisting circles. We have twisting circles, petal pattern. Yes, petal pattern.
And
linking rings. Now, the one thing I really like about Tonic Stencils are the fact that they are a thicker material than we're used to, which is really nice. But they also have these tabs. And the one thing I really like about the tabs is when we're working afterwards, you know how sometimes it's a bit harder to lift up your stencil? Well, they're not, because you're working, you put all your mediums down, which we're going to do in a second. And then when we're done, we just lift it up because there's this really nice tab at the bottom. Now, I'm going to use this one, which was the linking circles.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
That's linking circles.
Twisting circles.
Told you. I was right.
Oh, you've got to be right sometimes.
Someone's paying attention.
So I'm just going to take my little foamies off. Oh, shush over there. And I'm trying to read your comments at the same time. Lots of you joining us as well. Oh, I think we've got a record amount of people joining us. So someone says red breast for you, Greg. I think someone else is sending you a bottle of whiskey.
Oh, sounds good.
Lots of you spending your paychecks on these. Lots of you sharing too. Someone says Greg's adorable.
I know, I just replied saying I think so too.
Dee Dee saying good night. She has to get off the train now. We hope good evening, Dee Dee. Someone's mixed platinum mousse with re-inkers. Yep, that works too. Denise says she loves the drops. So we did mention about the mousse that we've now changed the mousse lids so that they don't dry up anymore. There's a new insert in these lids so they don't dry up anymore if any of you had those issues before. And lots of you saying about the tonic luggage. Yes, the tonic luggage is now available, and so loving the stencils. Okay, so let's play with this stencil. I'm going to use a larger piece of the watercolor card, and I'm going to give you some tips as well for working with the expanding mousse, because you can get different sizes of expansion and all sorts of things with some different tips and techniques. Now I'm going to stick down this just a little bit, and yes, I do have to have my Tonic Studios the right way around. I can't help it. It really bugs me if it's not. So I'm just going to stick this down with a little bit of masking tape. Okay, so I've stuck this down. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a reasonable amount of mousse out, because I want to show you some different techniques, so I don't want to run out. And I'm going to add in some colour burst. Now, of course, the more colour burst you add, the more intense. And if you notice this card that I made with colour burst, you'll notice that I have different colours. I made this using the Violet Brocade. And the Violet Brocade has blue and purple in it. And in this side, I have more blue, this side is more purple, and there's some blue mixed in the middle. That's because if you don't mix it thoroughly, which I didn't on this on purpose, I got that kind of, that colour burst effect throughout. If you mix it a lot, you'll get whatever the dominant colour is, in this case the purple. If you mix it a little bit, you'll still get all of those mottles through it, and you can check that video out on YouTube. My channel's called The Hedgehog Hollow. You can check out how to do this effect and still get all of those mottles in there. And there's a full tutorial on how I did this. And it's a really fun technique to do, because you can get, every time you do this, you can get it different. So I could have this completely pinky purple, or I can have all of these different kind of color transitions in there. And this one, as I say, I only went for a little bit of texture, but it's still pretty kind of textured in there. You can see that there's still a nice amount of the expansion in there, but you can get even more. And I'm going to attempt tonight, every time you do this, you'll get a different amount of expansion in it. So I'm just going to give it a small squirt of water because I want to activate the colour in it. And now I'm going to mix. So now you can see this blue is just different shades of blue. So I'm not going to get a particularly large amount of the mottle. But what I could do, you can still see it's got lots of nice shimmer and shine and all those kinds of things in it. What I could do is I could just add a dash of Violet Brocade, and you can see now I've just got little bits of purple running through it, and I think I'm just going to keep that running through. So now I'm going to take these spatulas, and these spatulas are awesome. So these are silicone, so nothing sticks to them. You've got two different angles, and this one is smaller, so it fits in those smaller pots, which I really, really love, and it has an angled tip on it. So this is mostly blue because that's what I already had on this spatula, and this I've mixed really well. So you can see here, and a little bit really goes a long, long way. And then I'll show you this one too. And Laurel from our design team did a 2-minute video, and hers really was 2 minutes. If you ever watch my 2-minute tips, they're never 2 minutes. But hers really was 2 minutes, and it was how these are amazing. And you can see if I don't mix this too much, I'm getting some of that purple to still run through it. So you can see down here at the bottom, I've got that purple running through, and I've got some purple up here and purple up here. If I wanted even more purple, I could do that. I could even now tap some purple on and get some extra colour burst into it. But what I really want to show you is how to get different textures in your expanding mousse. Now, if I was to remove this stencil now and heat it, I'm going to get a fairly even kind of bubbly texture like this sample that I created. But if I want to get some really fun, different textures in it, you're going to go over it and you're going to tap it like this, and you're going to create thicks and you're going to create thins. And if you have a stencil that has some more open space, you can do this even more. But I really want to create some areas. I want to have a nice smooth area up here so I can show you the difference. But I also want to create some fairly thick. I could actually do with a little bit more mousse. Where did I put it? This is going to be more white, but that's okay. So I'm just going to take a bit more mousse out here. And I'm going to mix some blue in to make it bluish. So I'm just going to create some lumps. And what you'll notice is anywhere that's a bit thicker. The other thing is, if you allow this to dry before you heat it, which I don't have time to do because we're live, you'll get a different texture when you heat it than if you heat it now when it's wet. So you really can experiment with different ideas, different textures. So we've got a very smooth bit up here. We have a bit more of a texture down here, and then we have much thicker down the bottom here. So I'm now going to peel this stencil off, and this is where this tab comes in really handy. So here I can peel this off. But isn't that a beautiful, beautiful stencil that we've used? I think it's absolutely gorgeous. I'm going to hand that off to Greg to put on his card over here.
What am I supposed to do with it? It's all icky.
Well, we'll scrub it later. And that's the great thing, is you can scrub it later because it reacts with water and we can use it like a watercolour. It's really, really easy. Now I'm going to take my heat tool and I'm going to use my Wagner heat tool here. Now this does get replayed on YouTube. So if you're watching this on YouTube afterwards, I'm going to make sure that all the links to everything we've used are in the video description. The coupon is also valid until next Wednesday at midnight Eastern. So again, all the coupons will be in that video description for you. And I'm going to heat. And what you're going to notice is, I'll move this a bit closer to you in just a second before I heat it, is this is going to bubble. Actually, let's move it closer before I heat it so I can show you. So this area here is going to bubble a little bit. This area here is going to bubble even more. This area here, you're going to get maximum growth into. So you're going to notice the difference as I start to heat. But you're going to heat it just like it's normal embossing powder. And you're going to see the changes. You're going to notice it goes a little bit more dull than it starts off. So at the minute there's a lot of shimmer in it. You're going to lose a little bit of that shimmer. But because I've added the shimmer powder to it, it's still going to be more shimmery than if you hadn't added those colour bursts to it. So because you've added that extra shimmer in. Now I'm going to make sure I've answered all of your questions before I go through that. So lots of you loving this technique as well. So is there a better heat tool to use on the expanding mousse to avoid overheating, like the Ranger heat tool? Or do you prefer? I like using the Wagner heat tool, and you'll see in a second how I use it over this as well. Silicone's the way to go. These silicone, what they call palette knives, are amazing. You get 2 in a pack. Actually, I have them here. They're called the Media Spatulas. They are in the Tonic Tools sale at the minute. So they are a great price anyway, but they're also on sale in the tool sale right now. So they're perfect time to get them and try them out. So you get 2 in a pack. I have actually had them for a while, and I had them pre-creativation. I was playing around with them, trying them out for different things. And it was really funny because I was using them probably in November, December time, and I'd be using them for projects and I'd prep all my videos with them. And then Greg would be like, you need to move those off before we do the video. And of course I couldn't show you. And then I'd have to get this out to do a video with. And I'd be like, oh, but I really like my silicone spatulas. And I was really excited to share them with you. So I'm so pleased they're out. I am a definite convert. I sent them to the design team. They're thrilled with them. They're on the video. I'm sure they'll comment if they're still here that they love them too. As I say, Laurel just did a video with them. We all absolutely love these silicone spatulas. And this one is particularly great because it's a little bit smaller to fit in those bottles too. Does this dry really fast? Must we hurry? It dries just like normal embossing paste and things like that would, but it doesn't matter because even once it's dry, you can still heat it and expand. So don't worry about working too fast or anything like that. It's going to it will work just the same. As I say, it does kind of react slightly differently when it's dry, but it's kind of fun to play around with different techniques as to whether it's dry, whether it's wet, and what effects you like best. So don't worry about it drying. Can you use this on canvas or wood? Yes, you absolutely can. I have a show coming up on PBS Make It Artsy where I use this technique, and I did it on a wooden canvas board. And I did the same technique. I put it through a die cut stencil that I made, and it works amazingly well. So yes, you can use everything, and it's been there for probably 6 months. We filmed the show ago, and it's been on the wall. It's been to Creativation. It's traveled everywhere, and it's still on there really well, and it's perfect. So yes, you absolutely can use it on anything. Karen saying, yes, they're awesome as well. Can you use the two mousse together? Yes, you can. I also have tried mixing colors between the two mousse, and that works really well too. So yeah, you absolutely can use the two mousse together. So both work fine. So let's heat it. I'm going to turn on my heat tool to start heating it up. Okay, so we're going to start on this end here, and I'm just going to start going. So about 1.5 inches away maybe. Now you could use the Ranger Heat It tool as well. It's just going to take a little bit longer to heat up that way. Now once it starts going, I can see this bit starting to go. So you can see it kind of bubble and crack. Now my cable's not long enough to keep going, so I'm just going to move this paper towards me as I go. There we go. And once it starts going, it's a bit like embossing powder. It takes a minute to get started. And then once it goes, it really starts to go. So now we're moving on to that more bubbly section. This looks so pretty, it's like a mermaid effect. So you can see that where I had more texture to start with, that's expanding even more, and it's kind of solidifying and firming. Now something else, I'm going to turn this off to talk to you for a second. Now something else you can do is once you've heated this once, and it won't work in all areas, but it will work in some areas, is you can let this cool for a second. I'm just waiting for it to cool down. Wait for it to cool down, and then we're going to go back in and we're going to heat it for a second time. And what you'll find is some areas will react for a second time. And it's really fun because I think probably in here's going to react and probably somewhere over here. You can kind of get an idea when you start heating it, areas that kind of really take, and I don't know what it is in the chemical process that makes it take per se, but I'm going to have another go. So there's a little bit kind of going again in here. This bit's just gone again. See, that's really expanded in this corner. So what I do is I just keep moving my heat tool until I see something kind of take, and then I'll hover there for a second. You can see a lot of steam coming off of it. That's just the steam evaporating out of it. That's not my paper burning. There's no scorch marks on my paper. So this bit's kind of gone again. So you never really know what effect you're going to get until you start heating it. And as you can see, the difference between the different areas. So this area has expanded, but it's kind of, I don't know how to describe it, maybe like a sandy, foamy kind of texture. This bit is more kind of peaky and I don't know how you describe it, but it kind of has more of that ripple and expansion in it. And then this area that was much, much thicker has even more. And some of those areas kind of really just grew and popped off the page. And this doesn't flake, it doesn't come off. You can see I'm touching it, it's not coming off. This is, you know, it's pretty solid. It's there to stay. So the more texture you put into it in the first place, the more expansion, the more mixed media-iness, if that's a word, you're going to get from it. So the more you put in, the more expansion, the more you're going to get out of it. So many different things you can do with it. And that's why I love the expanding mousse. So that's the difference between the embellishment mousse, which is going to give you that really kind of smooth, creamy texture. And again, lots of different things we can do with it. We can make our silicone foamy and we can put it through a stencil. We can color things. We can do all those kinds of things. We can use it like an oil pastel. We can then spritz that foamy and give a more kind of pastel-y texture to it. We can use it like a liquid metallic watercolor. We can turn it into a paste. We can put it in our light mist bottle and turn it into a spray. And then we can take our expanding mousse and we can use any of the base colors, or we can add to it with our with our shimmer powders. We can add color to it. We can also take our liquid watercolor, so those Nuvo aqua painters, we can add color to it that way. They're not as good because they add more moisture to it. So that's why I really like the color burst, because it's intense pigment that we're putting in with a tiny spritz of water, and it's adding extra shimmer to it. So that's why I really like using that technique. But with the expanding mousse, you can also do all of these techniques as well. So you can do both, which I think is really, really cool. So lots and lots of ideas there for you. I'm just going to catch up on your comments too. Let's see. So Karen agreeing that the spatulas are awesome, which I think is so cool. You'll have to remind us when that PBS is on, please. So PBS, air, make it artsy differently depending on your region. So you have to check your local PBS listings. But you'll also be able to find the segment on the Hedgehog Hollow YouTube channel. So it's a tonic segment. But if you follow the Hedgehog Hollow on YouTube, we will add that segment to our YouTube channel. And then I'm also going to do an in-depth YouTube video on how I built the whole canvas, because it's new dies that we have coming here at Tonic Studios for mixed media. And they're going to cut things like chipboard, and kind of like the grungy kind of papers and thicker papers and things like that. So stay tuned for that too. Lots of you loving the mousse as well. Natalia's just joined us. So yeah, 20% off of the expanding mousses. The media spatulas are in the tools sale until the end of February, which is tomorrow night. Although the expanding mousse coupon will run until next Wednesday at midnight. And also the new stencils are in that 20% coupon as well. If the stencil has more open spaces, does it expand more? The expansion is based on how thick the mousse is put on. So the thicker the mousse is put on, the more expansion you're going to get, because it kind of expands on the expansion, if that makes sense. How much is too much? Nothing's too much. Never too much. The first time I did this, I put it through an old to new stencil. And it was kind of like a scroll work stencil. And I did one area and I did it like super, super thick. It was probably 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch thick. And I thought, that's way too thick. That's never going to work. Well, actually, I heated it. And you know, like the French kind of Rococo type frames? Well, that's how it came out. It actually looked like it was coming off the page into a scroll. And it didn't break off. Well, it broke off eventually because I kept poking it and poking it and poking it. But it didn't do that until I'd really kind of had a go at it. But it was brilliant and it looked awesome. And I did it in the gold, no, it was in the copper that was the limited edition in the kit that came out first of all before they released the other 8 colours. So how much is too much? There's no such thing as too much. So that's that question. Greg says a big dollop expands more, but then you can lose definition from the stencil. Yeah, there's no such thing as too much. Judy's just joined us. Hi Judy, I hope you're well. And Betsy's just joined us as well. So there are lots and lots of things you can do this. I think this is a really cool product. If you have any questions during the week, you can drop those in the comments below. If you're watching on YouTube, drop them in the comments too. We'll come back to you as well. We're also compiling a top 10 frequently asked questions on Nuvo drops to do a YouTube video on as well. So if you have any questions with Nuvo drops, you can drop those in the Facebook comments or in the YouTube comments if you're watching it later on YouTube. And we're going to compile those and we're going to do a top 10 tips based on your frequently asked questions too. And I am now going to get Greg to choose our goodie bag winner based on our shares for this evening. So we can load up all of your comments.
Oh, it can't be me. I forgot to share it. Oh.
See? He didn't even follow the rules. And so, oh no, I can't pronounce that. So I'm going to pre-apologize for any whatever. Tonight's winner is Jody Fidula Bizao. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name, but you are tonight's winner for sharing our video. Congratulations. Send us a message with your snail mail address. We need your email address and we will get a Tonic goodie bag out to you. Don't forget the Tonic coupon code as well, and exclusive savings. They are either in the Facebook description, which might be above my head beside me, you know, the usual air hostess, or if you're watching on YouTube afterwards, check the video description. And if you're watching on YouTube too, also I'll have linked up everything we used in tonight's video as well. And thank you so much for joining us. If you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, however you're watching us, don't forget to either like the page, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, you know, all that fun stuff, and hit the like button or give us a thumbs up for the video. And otherwise, I will see you on Facebook, 8 p.m. Eastern on the Tonic Studios USA page next Wednesday. We'll have some more fun things for you. Happy stamping, everyone. We'll see you again soon. Bye.